Hello, my name is Eric Meatleg of Meatleg Productions, and I am here today to introduce my friend and partner, Fabio Pires. He holds the current title of Lead VFX Guru at Meatleg Productions. We started working together on video production last year, and this year we formed a VFX company together in Japan, where we live, based upon his VFX skills and my minor experience in writing, directing, acting, and making practical effects. The reason that I wanted to introduce Fabio is because he has worked on a large number of movies and TV shows that are quite well known, and I wanted to pick his brain about a few things. Today, as you may be able to guess from the background image, we are going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery. While he was with the company called Crafty Apes in New York, he worked on 5 episodes in the first season, and I wanted to talk to him today about the scenes that he got to work on, about the extent of his responsibilities, what the working environment was like, and what the overall process was that he went through, providing, of course, he doesn't violate any non-disclosure agreements. I don't want to get him into any trouble. So, hello, Fabio. Nice to see you today.
Hey, Eric. Good hearing from you. We finally sat down for this.
Yes, we did. Finally. It's been a long road getting from there to here. So you've been able to work on a large number of high-profile projects that many people may be familiar with. Looking at your IMDb page, there are listings such as X-Men Apocalypse and Zoolander 2 in 2016, American Made in 2017, starring Tom Cruise. In 2018, you worked on Second Act, starring Jennifer Lopez, and also Ocean's 8 with Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, and many more. In 2019, you worked on Glass with Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis. And you worked on a number of TV shows as well. And today we're going to talk about Star Trek Discovery, Season 1. You told me at the time when you got the opportunity to work on Star Trek Discovery, you also at the same time had the option to work on another big movie, but so you had to choose because they were at the same time. What movie was it that you had to turn down in order to work on Star Trek Discovery?
Yeah, it was Thor, Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, it really was a good. That's like one of the most fun movies in all of Marvel Universe, actually, I thought.
Yeah.
What made you decide to work with Star Trek as opposed to being a part of the MCU?
Well, it's a little bit of luck and a gamble, I'd say. Either one of the two is tremendous opportunity.
Yeah.
But let's say one was set in Germany and the other one here in New York City. But I just thought about like the long effects in my career and something that I would be able to look back and tell my kids, look, part of this long tradition of Star Trek. And that has sort of this beautiful reputation and enjoyment that is hard to take away.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter if the season is bad or good. You're always going to have this strong base of Star Trek lovers.
Right. And there's been a lot of series over the years, of course, starting with the original series and then, TNG, Next Generation. So it's been going on for a long time. How much Star Trek had you watched prior? Were you like an avid Star Trek fan, like as an adult, or did you watch it at all when you were younger?
I watched most of the episodes when I was younger. So I'm Portuguese. I was born in Portugal. And the majority of the series used to pass through on Sundays. Now, they did show the series in English, so I would just appreciate the action. Oh, it's in outer space. And you would go year after year after year, and I would always get the chance to see the newest season. Not at the same time as America, but maybe like 4 years behind, but enjoying it over and over again.
Right.
And then once the series started to revamp with J.J. Abrams and the movies started to get into more action, then I was like, wow, I have to get myself into this. I have to find a way to be part of this because it's just too cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to jump right now into some of the episodes that you worked on. I'm gonna put still shots in my background. You can see I got the Discovery bridge behind me right now. We're going to switch gears to, let's see, the first episode that you worked on, which has a Latin title. It's called, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, Si Vis Pacem Parabellum, which, according to Memory Alpha, translates into if you want peace, prepare for war. Now, this particular scene, let me get out of the way a little bit. This is a scene that you worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, in this particular scene, probably regular viewers of Discovery will remember, this is Ash Tyler, Michael Burnham, and also the Commander Saru. They went down to the planet to try to, establish to use a natural formation on this planet to turn into an antenna to help them fight the Klingons by helping them figure out how to decloak them. So they go there and they figure out, well, they didn't see any life that they thought they could communicate with, but they found life, and the life was represented as these little specks which you see floating here in the background, and that is what you worked on in this scene.
Yeah, that's probably what I work on. I think we were talking about it earlier. It's like the difference between working in big companies and smaller companies of, let's say, 30 compositors. Let's say you have access to less artists to work on things.
Right.
So traditionally, let's say when I worked on X-Men, for a scene like this, you would create the work in 3D. Then you would have roto artists to create the alpha of the characters. So then you can just place them one on top of the other. So that's where the compositing comes in. Now for TV shows, weekly, you need to get those shots out. So especially in New York City, these things work at tremendous speed.
So when we are watching the season, it's not everything's not been completed. It's still like the next episodes are in progress, being finished as we're watching particular episodes.
Yes.
How many episodes are you usually? That's kind of scary.
I think this one was just 1 or 2 episodes.
Okay.
1 or 2 episodes ahead of time, and people were like seeing the reviews, working. Now remember, this is TV.
Yeah.
Now in the newer seasons, now it's part of Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah. Internationally, it's shown on Netflix. I think in the US, it's still shown through CBS All Access. But like internationally, where you and I are able to watch it because we live in Japan, we're able to watch it on Netflix. Yeah. So it says actually Netflix original at the beginning, but it's not a Netflix. It's actually CBS All Access. They just have the international showing rights. So
yeah. So I've worked in Netflix episodes before. Then you have to deliver everything.
All at once.
It's a different system.
You season in chunks.
Yeah, it's like big chunks, way before it's due.
Right, because I know you worked on Jessica Jones and you worked on the Defenders, so both part of Marvel's lore, and so those Netflix shows, those are specifically Netflix shows, and you do the entire season at once because people like to binge watch it.
Yeah. There you go. You change the different cultures, so you have these things set up. So in here, the company that I worked on, Crafty Apes, they had a really strong new compositing team, and they try to do a lot of it in Nuke. So like I said, Nuke. Yeah. So in the majority of the times, let's say Maya, it's where you do your 3D work. And then Nuke, you're able to see this 3D work, put it on top of 2D, combine things, and make seamless. So in this case, they had some really cool techniques where we're able to refrain from doing roto and be able to do this work much faster.
Roto is when you gotta do a lot of masking, framing.
The shapes, exactly. So if you look at the character's hair, exactly,
which is very time consuming.
Yeah. So in this case, you can put a 3D, you can put a green screen behind, but then you miss some of this realism. So in here, the After Effects were put, the effects were put afterwards, and so you had to find a rapid way to get these things together. So I was really excited because I wanted to be part of this and create some new techniques and push the software to see where we can do more. And you've seen it. It was like a tremendous job.
Yeah. So
on this series,
like you were given like this particular scene. This has like, there's a couple of shots from different angles when they're in this room. And did you do like multiple shots, or was it like just this particular direction when they're facing? Did they have like multiple artists working on the different shots, or?
Yeah. So you have, with a good team. So each shot is supposed to look similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have different people working on it, and each shot sometimes presents, the majority of the shots present certain difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
If you can create a sort of a script where it will work 90% of the time, depending on the angles, then people can work faster together, and then the whole work will look cohesive.
I see.
So in my case, I mean, I was just excited to be part of this project.
Yeah.
And I was emailing my way to like, please give me something. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. Just
get me there.
Yeah.
So in this case, then I got to do, let's say, 3 shots of the similar view, so that I can, what I apply to one, then I can try to apply to the next shot and deal with similar problems. Because, they go over a light area or the shadow area or the hair problems. So you just try to do things like this.
I see. So I want to move on to like another episode. Like you worked, that was episode 8 of the first season. And then you also worked on episodes 9 and 10, where you did something that a lot of people might remember. Like I remember this very striking effect. This is when, just briefly to recap, Paul Stamets, he is driving the spore drive through the mycelial network, and he makes a lot of jumps at once, and it really affects him by basically kind of pulling him halfway in to the network, and that had to be expressed in a visual way, and they chose to do it with his eyes. And you actually made his eyes white here. Like, and there was as he's laying on the ground right before the effect takes place, Tilly, she asks, like, what's happening to his eyes? And then it cuts to this scene, and you see his eyes go from normal color into this, it fades into this hazy white color. And you were in charge of doing this effect.
Yeah. So another small thing, but VFX, or you could say at times, it's very similar to running an army.
Right.
You have, you're just following leads, and the whole point is getting the work done. And a lot of times you want to take a creative initiative, but it's not up to you.
Yeah.
So at this
small moment, initiative, then it's going to pull the direction of the entire ship, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
be unified.
Yeah, it got to be unified. And let's say in one scene, an artist decides to just makes it extremely beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's say he has all these different lens flares coming out of his eyes, but everywhere else, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And so so in visual effects, powerhouses, you have to work together. And so this small little opportunity, I really enjoyed it, because like, hey, I get to decide how is this transformation going to be.
So right, and
can I make it? Yeah.
You had to not only create the effect, but you had to do all of the motion tracking and make sure that, as he blinks or moves his eyes around it, it's got to track and follow where the color
Yeah.
eye is.
Yes.
And this was
yes.
After this particular shot, it goes on even a more of a zoom in, and it really zooms in even closer on the eye, so it's really up close. So it's really, you have to get it exactly right every single frame. But there was a lot of frame by frame work on this particular scenes.
Yes, there's a lot of frame by frame, because when you're given a shot, that shot might be 20 frames, 300 frames, 500 frames.
Sure.
And when you go frame by frame, it feels like time is really relative. So you feel like, oh yeah, this is going to be a long shot, because you're just spending so much time frame by frame just getting in there. So if you see the process here, it's like, okay, you need to make sure that the animation goes at correct time, the right feel. You're not listening to any sound.
Right.
And then you have to make sure that it's seamless.
Right.
So that's where the rotoscope of the eye, making sure that the light returns to the eye so he doesn't look like he's dead.
Yeah.
All of these tiny little things, you have to get it as perfect as possible, because otherwise
it's going to take you out of the moment.
Yeah. You're just like, something wrong with his eyes. So you really have to nail it down.
This effect was used. This was the Into the Forest I Go, which is the first episode at the very, very end where they jump into the mirror universe. And then the next episode is the 10th episode, called Despite Yourself. And that is here. Let me move out of the way. Also, oops, I hit the computer there. He also has his eyes go into like he briefly comes into consciousness again, like the whiteness in the eyes disappears, and then he makes he like tells Dr. Culber or something, and then he fades back into this sort of stasis again. And so you had to cover these transitions as well. Is that correct?
Yes. This is the one that, like, okay, it's going to be fast, but it has to look like there's sort of a universe in there.
Yeah. Was that what you were going for, is to have like sort of to make it look kind of like he had like a universe in his eyes, or?
Yeah, I wanted to have some sort of depth into it. So when it started to form, it just didn't like fade.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's just like a fade, but there's something happening in there.
Yeah.
And that was the feel that I was going for. And even as quick as this shot was, it was like, okay, we have to make it feel that way.
Right.
And when I work at this, it's like super zoom in. It's like, okay, let's get as many details as I can there. And that's like the nature of visual effects artists, is like, we put so much detail into a few frames, but then when it gets to TV, then you get a new color correction. Things get a little bit darker. And a lot of times your work, you don't get to see all of the work,
right?
But you need to put in all that effort, so it's just seamless. Even if it's like, it shouldn't distract people from the main action. And I mean, this was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And this is part of the reason why I joined Star Trek. It was the cultural relevance.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is really an integral part of the story, this like effect here. It's not just like a lens flare in the background. It's actually part of the storytelling process. And it's funny that you talk about the detail, because a lot of Star Trek viewers know that if you like, when they were creating the set for Star Trek Next Generation, they had lots of computer panels on the wall, right? And there's maybe like larger text, which is legible, but then there was a lot of smaller text, which is supposed to be just like status reports of various systems, and that wasn't really legible, when it aired in the 80s on square televisions. Nobody had 4K, 5K plasma LED televisions, right? So when they got to the detailed text, they didn't need it to be anything. They just needed it to be there. So the set designers would just add random silly things like lyrics from Gilligan's Island theme song, and
Yeah.
like just random like Lauren Ipsum kind of texts that didn't even make any real sense, but they just for fun they added little things because they knew no one would ever be able to read it. But nowadays you can't get away with that because everybody's got, unless they purposely blur the background, for depth enhancement, then people are going to be able to pick it up because we all got phones and computers and televisions to have really high, high fidelities.
That's absolutely true. You stop, you're like, or even someone's phone number. What if I call this number? Who would pick up?
Exactly.
It's just like, hey, if you make it real, let's do something. I mean, and here it's like, okay, when I was younger, it's a very good example. I would see the actors, and I would find nothing strange or different about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, it's like, oh, we had the first interracial couple kissing.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked into that. I'm like, wow, that's something that I never stopped to admire in TV shows.
Yeah.
Especially related to sci-fi, because when you grow up, you're used to seeing certain things.
Yeah.
You get older, it starts to like, wait, how come I don't see Black people in this show?
Yeah.
You
start to think about representation, right?
Yeah, it's like, where's the variety?
Right.
And then when I got to the scene, it's like, look, you have, I believe this is the first time two gay men kiss on Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And that's already like, look, we're pushing the boundaries of sci-fi, but we're pushing the boundaries of what people accept on TV.
Mm-hmm. And in society.
Yeah, and that attracted me a lot.
They're just really great people in real life as well. Like they're a very wholesome couple, like friendship as well, off screen as well. So
so really for me, it was like
all of us.
Mm-hmm. So for me, it was like, look, you have the incredible visual effects behind it, and then you have also this way of changing society through a TV show, and it reflects on these ideas of like pushing the boundaries, going on the universe. And I'm like, yes, I have to be part of this. I have to find a way to get in there.
Yeah.
And have a small moment.
Right. So to move on to the next episode that you worked on, which is called The Wolf Inside. Now, just briefly, The Wolf Inside did also have this scene where Stamets was also still catatonic. He didn't move around in this particular shot at all. I don't even think he blinked. But you didn't work on this particular scene. They just basically kind of adopted your... and there was no transition in and out in this particular scene. So you did not work on...
Yeah.
Right.
No, I didn't work on this one. Okay. It happens quite often where you just...
Where one person will develop something and then it'll be reused later.
Even the development, because let's say, for example, I had to deal with the transition. So the transition of going from this look into back to his eyes. Mm-hmm. But then you still have to deal with the same process of like preparing the eyes.
Right.
So it's just... You're always working on teams, and you look at someone's shot, you get inspired, you work together, and you develop it. And to surprise, I guess, if someone wanted to start in visual effects, it's just like, when you start or when you move into a new team, mm-hmm. you might just get a small part of it.
Right.
It could be that LED in the black that they need to get it flash.
Right.
But you do that right, it's your moment to shine, you work on something else, then you go on to move in to do even bigger things, or just do this type of visual effects. But you get to be part of it, mm-hmm. and multiple jobs need to be done.
Yeah. So what you did work on in this episode, is the 11th episode of season 1 called Wolf Inside, was this scene here. We got the explosions going on. And this scene, Ash Tyler and Michael Burnham scene here in the center, went down to a planet to talk to, let's see, rebel factions in the mirror universe, which would pretty much be the good guys. And they had to go down and warn them of an oncoming attack to try to save some of these people, even though these people in the rebellion think that they are part of the Terran Empire, because they have no idea that they're from another universe. So that's why they're firing on them here. And so, what were your responsibilities in this particular scene?
This was like pretty damn cool. I had to do some map painting. So map painting is like so you can see in the background. Obviously, well, shouldn't say obviously, they didn't get to teleport there.
Right.
But they had to be in this world, and some things need to be like cleaned up.
Right.
You have to prepare the floors, like let's say remove footprints. Something small like that would make you question. Wait, I thought that.
Right, because
many people didn't walk in here.
This is actually like, I guess, is part of this scene real? Like there was actually like dirt, and then people like and the background was changed.
You're looking at you're saying this is, you're looking at real footage.
Okay.
Now you have the two explosions. Now, what got me so excited about this is that these are real explosions.
Okay.
The actors are there. You're getting real explosions. So the part that is not real is your phaser blasts.
Okay, so this guy right over here who's shooting at them, you had to add
shoots over it.
Phaser blast. If I can get my fingers going the right direction, no.
So the phaser blast, when he shoots,
shooting over there,
the explosions need to match.
Right.
So what you do something is called retiming, where you like go back in time and set those explosions to come out at the precise moment.
So I'm assuming
to do that. Yeah.
The actor who is shooting is maybe making some shooting movements, like to maybe show the recoil. So was he in a different layer than the explosion and the actor?
No. They're there.
Okay.
These are some phenomenal things about this TV show. Is that the decision to use, let's say, real explosions.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes we get so used to just do everything in visual effects.
Yeah.
That we miss these opportunities.
Right.
Yeah. Or you're adding explosions on top of it. And here you're like, no. You're getting big, juicy explosions. They're feeling that impact. It's like boom. So, but what happens with reality is that like you don't get the timing right.
Right.
So what you need to adjust so it looks like the things happen at the right time. And in order to do that, you have to do a lot of cleanup. Like you have to cover up the floor again.
Yeah.
Pre-explosions.
See,
maybe you have to.
I guess where people were maybe preparing downstairs, or like the set. We were preparing the set. You had to fix their footprints from where they were walking to get things ready.
Not only the footprints, but the craters. You have these big craters. You got the explosions, and you need these craters so that you can protect the people from the explosions.
Yeah.
So that's part of the movie magic. It's like,
so at first there was like a fake layer of was it a fake layer of dirt over to cover the explosions? I mean, to cover the.
Let's say like that. Yeah. There you go. So it's a map painting.
I see.
My job to make it seamless.
I see.
And then when the explosion happens, you're like, boom! It comes off at the right time.
Wow. Okay.
So these are.
Sounds like a lot. How long did you actually work on this scene? Was this like an entire week of work?
It takes time. It takes time because you have to respect the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, visual effects artists are always trying to do things hyper real and make sure that it looks good.
Yeah.
But then you have an additional layer, which is like, look, the fans will look at everything. They truly enjoy the show, and they'll admire all the tiny the details.
Details, or
yeah. So then you have to be like, okay, let's just double check.
Yeah.
So you have to work at a fast speed because the next episode it's coming. It needs to be delivered.
But this pretty much took you like a whole week to do, right?
It takes time. It takes some time.
Yeah.
Like if I recall, it's like a few days. I like to work on multiple shots at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it gives me the ability to like sort of, depending on how difficult the task is, I get to, like, say, work on a specific shot, then clear my head, work on another one, and then bounce back. And that gives me ideas. It's like, oh, how can I handle the shot? Because each shot, there's always a different set of trouble that comes in.
I see. So I want to move on.
You have to find ways to solution to that. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to move on to the last episode that you worked on, and that was episode 13 with this is What's Past is Prologue. And here you worked on phaser blasts, where Captain Lorca is dodging phaser blasts. And this is during his coup, his attempted takeover, which I believe is ultimately successful. Although, spoiler alert, Captain Lorca does die towards the end of this episode, and Captain Giorgio is pulled into our universe.
Yeah, you should do a big spoiler alert.
Yeah,
alert.
We're gonna have to do a big like flashing spoiler alert thing here. So yeah. So how much of this scene? What exactly did you work on with the with the phaser blasts going on here?
So this is, I'm going to call this like a candy shot, because there's such a fun to see these. I remember as a kid to just wait for them to shoot.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, make it deadly. Just bah. And on this shot, I think they really wanted to add.
There was no playing around here.
Yeah. So then I just wanted to see it. And then for this show, they did some cool things. Like if you look at his face and you notice how his side of the face has all those red reflections.
Yeah, it's got, let's see, here, this side, it's got it's up red, and it's really like glowing there. Was that part of the original footage, or was that added?
So all these things are added, and that's what I loved so much about this specific show, and to participate on this, even though it's just like a few frames.
Yeah, like this shot is literally like less than a second. It's like just
you blink your eyes, it's gone. It's like, yep. But it gets the same respect.
Yeah.
Which is, here is something, intense energy passing through your face.
Yeah.
It's going to light up, and you have heat, so there's going to be some changes in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So all those tiny details were thought about it. So even though if it's just a few frames passing by, you want to make sure that it gets the same, it respects the same physics.
Right.
Per se.
Yeah.
So for me, I was really excited. And then this is done inside Nuke in the 3D system. So then I get to adjust the animation myself instead of someone else doing the animation in Maya 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I get to do it in Nuke, adjust the size, adjust the glows, adjust the chromatic aberration. And because I'm a fan, I was just excited. Yes, give me 3 frames of a fast shot, but I have it.
Right.
If I'm watch the show, I could just sit there and be like, yeah, that's fun.
Right.
Dream come true. Just like, it's like, check. It's like Star Trek. I got this tiny little bit. Now I can be like, you know what? Let me dream bigger.
Yeah.
Let me think of something else.
Cool. Thank Thank you for watching. Now, I hope this was entertaining and informative. I want to thank my friend and brother Randall Lipford for the Star Trek-ish intro music, and I want to thank Fabio Pires for all of his time and wisdom. You can find more about our VFX capabilities at meatleg.com, which includes our original collaborative work on our series called The Quantum Twins. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll have to forgive us because all of the budget was spent on the intro, so there is no outgoing transition. Apologies for that. Thank you very much. Just cut it off here. It's fine. Oh, it's fine. Just cut it off. There's nothing else. No. Why is this difficult? Fine. I got it. I'll do it myself. It's fine. I got it. There. Fine. I got it. Can we go? I think that's it.